Hey, and welcome to a new episode. Today I'm here with the infamous Noah Holland, officially brother of Erling Holland.
That's me, hello.
And with Vanessa Falasca from Italy.
Nice to meet you all.
Let's have this episode started.
Pick myself up, moving on to the better. Hey. Ain't no errors, baby. It's a new era.
Welcome back, everyone, to Season 1, Episode 11. My name is Georg and I'm your host for the Nomadic Business Insight podcast. In this podcast, listeners have the chance to follow my journey as a serial entrepreneur, and we're also, from time to time, doing exclusive deep dives with other founders, highly talented venture capitalists, and people with experience from exciting industries. In today's episode, we're gonna take a closer look at our vintage store in Ålesund, which has been running for a couple of years and is a quite exciting story to share. I'm here today with Noah and Vanessa live from the store. Well, the people and concepts we feature in this program have by no means paid for any placement and are handpicked by the Nomadic Business Insight team. We may or may not have personal investments in the companies and products we feature, and this content is not to be seen as any direct investment advice. This show is for entertainment purpose only.
You are listening to LD Podcast. Would you like to publish with us? Tell us your story at www.ld.studio/podcasts. Edited and published by LD Studio.
All right, guys. Well, we are in Ålesund in our vintage store, which has been open for almost 3 years now. We opened the doors first time May 2022. And you might have seen some videos, you might have seen pictures. It has been quite of a ride. There has been lots of people involved, lots of people putting their love and passion into the projects, but there have also been a lot of hurdles. And some of them we're going to run by today. But most importantly, I'm very excited to have with me here today Noah and Vanessa, who have currently had the responsibility for the project. We just recently launched a video on our Facebook page where we're going to take a deep dive into the whole store, all of the people who have been involved in the project recently, and also what the concept is all about. So if you want to know more about the store, go over to that Facebook page and have a look at the video. But I'll also give you the rundown here today. The store originally was owned by a lady called Merete, which kind of infamously was the first transgender person of Ålesund. And at that time, we had our studio just over the street on the other side. So we naturally had a lot of contact with Merete. Actually, when we got the studio in the very first year, lots of our inventory and stuff we used to decorate the place came from her store. So over the course of a couple of years, we developed a quite good friendship. And one day she confided to us that she was getting too old to run this. She really wanted to retire, and she didn't know what to do with the store. Obviously, chances were quite low that anyone would come by and take over the store. It was kind of messy, this typical treasure-seeking store where you could find anything else but good-looking vintage clothes. And at some point, we just decided that we'll buy her out and take over the rental contract, which we managed to do. And successfully, January 2022, she was able to leave the door without cleaning a single inch of the store, and we took over the keys. From there on, there were several people involved in the leadership from the beginning, and the vision was always to open a community-based place in Ålesund that could help lift this part of the city back to its ancient glory, because we're currently in a part of the city that is called Aspøya, close to a street called Kirkegata, which from Norwegian translate to the church street, or the street leading up to the church. And that street was one of the most active merchandise streets of the whole city from the 1940s or even earlier on, all the way up to the 1990s. But from there on out, lots of other shopping malls started to open, especially one of Norway's biggest shopping mall, and today, actually the biggest shopping mall in Norway, opened up in a place called Moa, just about 10 kilometers from here outside of the city. As a consequence of that, the whole street died out in a couple of years, and all the landlords pretty much couldn't find anyone to rent the spaces. So in the course of 2 small decades, which was the town part, which was the most active and bustling, full of kids and vendors and merchandises, went into a street dominated by Thai massage salons and non-rented places. We decided to do something about it. We decided to open a funky, creative place that took a lot of inspirations from other places where we've been around the world. We took input from typical European creative hubs like Berlin, London, Barcelona, but also from places which we'd seen around in South America and Southeast Asia, trying to do things homemade, inventing stuff bit by bit, and most importantly, upcycling pretty much everything of the inventory. So we assembled a team in the spring 2022 that ripped apart the whole location, refurnished, painted, and even though we didn't complete the store fully till the place where it is today, we managed to open successfully after 3 months. The first summer was bustling. We made really good figures, but during that coming fall and winter, we kind of experienced why this side of Ålesund is so hard to do business in. Because immediately after summer bus leaves and the tourists leave, there is not much of a revenue left. Consequently, we kind of closed the store in the winter, and we as owners paid a lot of that through, remaining with quite extensive losses. Nothing in the league that can be compared to other businesses, but obviously it was a pain in the ass. And already during that first year, we were kind of considering to end the project and give up. But then it felt as too much of a commitment, having ripped apart the whole place and put so much love into it, to just give it up after 1 year. During winter times 2022 to 2023, we successfully hired a very talented guy called Tom, half Polish, half Canadian, or Polish grown up in Canada. And he came up with a very good vision. He imagined a store much more than an activity center than actually just a thrift shop. So he contributed a lot with putting in a ping pong table. He provided a lot of game areas and also eventually built the coffee shop area, which I'm standing in now. Summer 2023 was a really good year. We're kind of figuring out again that summer is where we can make money and get in big traffic. But then again, same thing happens. We hit fall 2023 and it gets kind of a rough ride. Eventually, owners and Tom, we choose to split ways and ending the things on a good note. He committed more than a year to the project, which was the most successful year of the store by then. But obviously, springtime's 2024, we had to figure out a new way. And what we ended up doing is transferring the ownership of the store to the voluntarily organization Rydmøre, which is a cleanup organization that Anne-Sylve and me have been the founders of for several years. And obviously there is a lot of talented and interesting people involved in that. And by transferring the store to the organization, it kind of enabled a different way of running the project. And that leaves us where we are today, heading into summer 2024 and fall 2024. And that's pretty much as I want to tell you by now. And we're going to bring back Noah into this podcast. Welcome back, Noah. How are you feeling?
Pretty chill. Had a lovely evening.
Yeah? You have your girlfriend visiting over?
I do. Nice. Especially after, months of rain and
Was it like you expected? I mean, we talked a lot, like we started talking very early in spring regarding you coming over here and volunteering at the shop and kind of bringing your vision on the board here. But I told you, Ålesund is rainy. And I think, at least I believe I tried to emphasize it.
You did, and I was a bit stupid. I was a bit like, how been living in England for ages. It's what's rainy really? Like, I'm used to rain.
Yeah.
But I had another thing coming. I've never experienced.
Run us through it a bit, like for it. Someone who has never been here, because I feel I'm explaining it to everyone, but nobody believes me.
Because everybody reckons that it rains where they're from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially compared to the south of Cornwall. But I got here, and since then it hasn't stopped raining. Like there's been 3 days where it's been sun.
Yeah,
and one of them was yesterday. Which is quite nice. But it's just kind of like, it's also like on like weather apps and stuff, you can't see when it's going to rain. The weather apps have no idea.
Yeah.
I assume just like, I mean, looking at the geography of the west coast of Norway, there's kind of nothing in between it here and like Greenland.
Yeah.
Or even America.
Yeah.
So anything just comes and gets back.
Yeah. And it's kind of like a hole as well here, because you got like the Alps, the West Norwegian Alps surrounding it. So it's kind of holding in all the clouds. So pretty much everything that hits the coast here stays till it's empty. And I think the phenomenon, help me out, phenomenon that kind of surprises most people is that the clouds are so low.
Yeah.
And it's not like, you know, like one thing is having a rain shower come drop at you and gone. But another thing is if that same kind of cloud remains here like days and just dribbles.
That's kind of crazy. Yeah, like sugar topping.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. Like, obviously you can't see it because there's a massive cruise ship in the way. But sugar topping and Sula, like just watching clouds condense pretty much at the 3/4 mark of the mountain. Like it literally, like it will be clear in the morning or something, and then the moment the day starts to heat up, it just condenses at really like super low level.
Yeah. So it also kind of blocks the sun out for a long while. Yeah. when I was coming back, you were like, God, you're tan. And I was like, no, I've just had summer, Noah.
I was like, yeah, you're brown. You look healthy. Pasty white.
You probably become more white than when you arrived here.
Definitely. Well, I came straight from like the island of Jersey. I don't know if you've heard of
Yeah.
it. Which is just like same weather as the south of France. So I was like, I was brown. I got sunburned then.
Amazing. Well, what's wrong with this city, Noah? You know, like I think like it's a very loaded question, but a lot of people, you know, everyone coming in, things like, I'm Ålesund on my bucket list. I gotta go to Norway. I gotta see Ålesund. I gotta see Bergen. I gotta see Lofoten. And everyone is running around here with cameras, and it's just this massive flow of people. But then on the other side, everyone who lives here kind of feels semi-depressed.
That's true. I heard that from obviously Roger. Mentioned that it's like one of the, I think, the county in Norway with the highest suicide rate or something.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
So what's your take on it? What's wrong with the city? What's like, without bias, without, you know, trying to sugarcoat anything, what's the issue?
I think it's, first of all, I want to say that anything that's wrong with Alesund, I think, can be fixed with what's right.
All right.
If that makes sense.
That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah. It's got an unusual, in the summer, and obviously I've only been here for the summer, and so I can only comment on what it's like during the summer months, but I think like its attitude towards cruise tourism is not the best. At university, I study kind of sustainable tourism, sustainable management of all kinds of things. And the whole kind of people are going to hop off, contribute not much to the local economy. Like people aren't really staying, like 90%, would you say, is cruise tourism?
Yeah, I think that's a fair bet. I heard a very interesting talk from the minister of kind of the travel institution, like governmental institution here a couple of years ago, Anita Krog, and she put it this way, you know, like cruise tourism leaves such a marginal number in revenue that you could pretty much cut the whole thing and you would earn more by the slightly amount increased land traffic because they leave so much more money.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't surprise me at all. It's the kind of, and I think that's predominantly what's wrong with it. It doesn't let people come in and have an authentic experience. It's like you can see them walking past the front of the store, and this store catches everybody's eye. You can see plants in the windows, clothes hanging outside. It's colorful. We've got the lights on. We're playing like good music. But they're on their phone and they go like, I'm interested, but I've got to do the top 10 things on TripAdvisor.
Yeah.
I've got to go and get like fish and chips from the fish and chip store. That's more important than like actually like you should have a list of things you want to do. Like,
yeah.
And then, but if you see something that's interesting,
I mean,
what you and I would do, I've traveled so much, is drop the hat and go.
Yeah, but we're not, I mean, let's not like throw knives here. I mean, like every city in Europe or every city in the world in the summer has a massive increase in tourism. But I think what you're pointing at here, the major difference is that we have such a small local population compared to the numbers of people come in. I do think like the numbers of people that come in can be compared in many ways to major European cities.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's probably where the issue is. Where do you see it going? You know, like, I mean, this has been a discussion in the government and in the politics around here for years. Nobody really takes a public standpoint on it. What will be your take on it? Like, what do you think would happen if you ban cruise tourism?
I think naturally there'd be a lull period, you know, where Ålesund would stop having a distinct identity as a place that is cruise, like heavy on cruise tourism. But I think because of its location next to the Alps, and it's like amazing islands all around, like Valderoya and Alnes, I think it would kind of get a bit more of an outdoorsy.
So people who would come here would be more focusing about long-term, like a little bit more long-term stay to actually be here and doing
like outdoor and traffic, like a bit like Lofoten.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. There isn't too much. It's true. There isn't too much like going on land cruise tourism in Lofoten actually, because there is no harbors big enough to accommodate these kind of ships.
Yeah.
So you're actually right, but maybe also compare it. It's possible to compare with kind of mountain towns in the Alps, where you have that kind of tourism.
Yeah. Actually, I live with a guy who's from Chamonix.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, I live with him at university. And his kind of like Chamonix is this famous like alpine mountain place, like at the bottom of the Alps. And every night of the week there's people, you know, going in and out of bars and pubs and like getting things to eat. And
that's the other thing, you know, like there is never a nightlife here. There is just no nightlife going on, because all the cruise tourism, they go on their ship and drink and party and stand on like the balconies and look down. It's putting it very harsh, you know, but it's almost like I'm feeling like a prisoner in my own city. I feel like I'm walking down here and left and right, there is like spectators looking down at me like, poor motherfucker. Sorry, the language.
So good. Like, I mean, I was speaking with a couple of people and they were like, it's like a ghost town or a bit of a simulation. Lots of buildings, lots of things, but not many people.
Yeah.
Like walking around, like a lot of people just there, but no one's going in and out of buildings. No one's.
I see.
Doing too many things. And I'm fairly, over the last couple of years, like well traveled. I didn't really put my bag down over the last couple of years. And I've gone to so many places, in Barcelona or Japan or whatever. This kind of same area, Aspoja, you said?
Yeah, Aspoja. Yeah, you're right.
Has so many like window fronts that are empty.
Yeah.
Bottom levels that in any other place would be just have stuff going on, bars, whatever. And it's just kind of...
I agree with you. I see this place. It's not something we've been talking very loudly about, but we will in the future. We have this kind of vision plan 2030 for this little like street corners. And I do think that there is a future. I do think banning cruise tourism, or at least like bringing it out of the city, is a major part of it. But I do think, you know, if you look at like European cities that have gone through the process, I tend to say Norway, development-wise, cultural, is 10 to 20 years behind the rest of the world, whilst economic, in the sense of economy and technology and innovation, they're probably 20 to 50 years ahead. But as they received their money, their fund, their wealth over such a short interval of time in the 50s and 60s, from discovering oil and gas and a booming fish and aquaculture, I do think like lots of the cultural developments which you'd had for centuries in other places in the world just got skipped. But if you look back now, let's say any British city really, in the 80s or 90s, in a time of regression, had these kind of rundown place in the city. They were more empty, and then in the early 20s they would be rediscovered and say, hey, this could be the most hip place of our town,
like a gentrified.
What's that term? I missed out on a gentrified, that's it. So
gentrification, it literally is just the process of turning a rundown place into a less rundown place, a nicer place to be. Typically in the UK you'd find areas that are like a little bit risky, or especially in London, so like early 90s it was like Brixton.
Exactly.
And now Brixton's the place where you go and buy like Rainbow Bagels and Doc Martens.
Cool.
And then, you know, there was Peckham And now that's the place that people who go to run clubs go and get their,
I definitely see that happening. But well, let's move a bit ahead from kind of frying Ålesund here as a city. We're also going to try to see the positive sides. You've been here for 2 months, head of shop. What's been your most happy moment during those 2 months?
In the store?
Or general? General.
Early
Trying to look at the bright side here as well.
Early on, I got a few days of sun in and amongst a few days of rain, and I went for a hike in Sunnmøre.
In the Sunnmøre mountains, like in general, yeah.
For 5 days,
Yeah.
I think it was. And I bought like your youth pass,
Yeah.
for the buses and the boats and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was just like amazed that it cost like 40 quid
Yeah, 40 quid to go anywhere you want with any bus or any boat.
for a month, which was just amazing. And yeah, hopped on a boat, hopped on a bus, and then I was there at the start of it, and I was like, then I felt like in the thick of it in Norway, where, I mean, tourists weren't.
Yeah.
But just being able to hike, and it's really accessible.
Yeah.
Super cool. That was probably like one of my best moments. But
So you'd say you have like managed to be here, do your responsibilities, but also feel like empowered by the opportunities to be around and
especially because it's light in the summer for so long, I can do a full day's of work, and I've done this before, like full day of work,
yeah,
9 till 6, and then run out and go swimming, mountains, whatever I want.
yeah.
And I've still got 6 more hours of light. Yeah. I mean, aside from that, like in the store, so I've worked in hospitality my whole life, and the best bit of hospitality is actually talking to people. There's tons of bad bits, but at least once, twice, 3 times a day, if I'm lucky, I've got people in the shop who come in, sit down, have a coffee, and I just go, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
They'll tell you how they're done. Like, we've got plants named after the cool people who've come in, like Elizabeth.
That's so cool.
And like, I mean, there's Moritz, but Tate's over there. Like, they're all cool people. Especially Elizabeth. I can't.
Hopefully not estate.
No. Yeah, Elizabeth and Lennart, like, for example, a Swedish couple who are sailing around the fjords, and they're down to Denmark now, and they still keep in touch with me over message.
Amazing. Amazing. Yeah, let's jump more into that topic. I'm really excited about it. But let's get Vanessa into the show as well together with us, and let's continue from there. All right, welcome in, Vanessa.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Very happy to have you here. I think I want to jump like right into it. Like skip all the fuss on the outside and go like, what's your kind of background? Let us know a bit about you, where you come from. What you've been doing in the recent years. Maybe start all the way back in your teenage. Like where did you grow up?
I grew up in a place that's really close to Florence, and I was always interested in art. So I started studying fine art, and I did it in high school and university as well. And there I just trying to connect more with people and sharing, because I think that it's a huge and essential part of like growing in a professional and personal way, so you can just take some inspiration from other people. And it's really interesting how to like interconnect with different kind of arts media.
Did it come from your parents? Like, is that an interesting?
Actually,
what do your parents do?
My parents actually are into sports.
Into sports?
Yeah.
Like management or
No, like training.
Okay.
And yeah, so even my sister, my brother.
So you just went completely off that
Yeah,
path.
exactly, because they're like personal trainers, and I'm an artist, so I always felt like out of the box.
Do you see her as an artist, Noah?
Definitely.
From the days you've known her?
Definitely. She got off the bus. I went to collect Vanessa off the bus when she got here. And like little rag on, like painted jeans. Like I was like, yes, you will do.
Confirmed.
Thank you very much. We got a cool person. Like,
You're so welcome.
yeah.
So outside of Florence, kind of village or
Yeah, kind of village, but I studied in Venice in university, so I was like really
that's gotta be quiet and like, I don't know, like prehistoric experience almost. Did you feel a bit like in a book?
Actually no, because Unfortunately, Venice it's a touristic place.
Yeah.
It has the same huge problem of Alesund,
Okay.
but Venice is smaller, so it's all focused on small part, and it's really hard to like enjoy the place.
If you're living there and kind of a resident.
Yeah, exactly, because there are just restaurants and hotels for tourists.
Were you living in Venice or like in the outskirts where you have to?
I was living in Venice, really close to Ponte di Rialto.
Okay. Yeah, I know the place. I've actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've also been quite a couple of times in Venice, and I have a funny story to tell from Venice. Like you probably been on, I can't remember the name, like Festival de Pescador, or the big annual festival in end of July where all the boats come in.
Okay, yeah. We call Redentore.
Redentore, yeah, that's it. And it's just like massive, and the firework on the end, like crazy firework. One of the most beautiful fireworks I've ever seen. Probably now easily beaten by Dubai and Saudis, but so coordinated.
Yeah.
And like orchestral music, and I think they have like kind of few of platforms or small submarines in the harbor that shoot them up.
Submarine?
Small like underwater vessels that shoot them up. So it's just this massive show. And we were there 1 year, and then I think like 6 or 7 years after, on the first road trip I ever took on Sylvia, we hitchhiked through Europe.
Okay.
And it was secret, like her parents didn't know it even, because her parents were like, no way they would have accepted that, We were at some family's place down in Norway.
I can imagine her mum's reaction.
Yeah, let's not share that in the podcast. But so we were hitchhiking through Europe, and then we decided, well, let's go to Venice. Like, I really want to take you to Venice. Is it beautiful there? I want to show you the city. And it's like the first place ever on the whole trip we actually like book a hotel or something. We had like a little bit of cash spare, so we're like, okay, we're gonna do like extra nice. And we go out. We had been awake a whole night because we traveled with some weirdo, and then we came to Venice. We slept. We woke up like 4 p.m. Saturday or Friday, I don't know what day, and we wake up and we're just like full crowd in the streets. And I go to the reception. It's like, what's going on? And he's like, you don't know? It's like, what is his name? Redentore today. I'm like, no way. 7 years after, on the date, like this is the date where I'm gonna take and Sylvia here. So we had an amazing night.
Yeah, it's really nice also because it matched with the Biennale. It's every year, architecture or art. It's a huge party. So a lot of people are there for different reasons, because there are a lot of like events during the summer in Venice. So it's really crowded.
And from Venice, is that where you're coming from now? It isn't, right? You have had like another stopover.
Yeah, I've been to Colombia where I spent 8 months in artist residency, and it was such an amazing experience. And it was there that I just developed the idea of having my space.
Okay.
So,
was it like an occupied place? Like a residence in terms of, like an abandoned house?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and a studio, and I was working there like a volunteer to like paint and make up like the.
That's so cool. Where in Colombia?
It was close to Bogota.
Okay.
The name is San Bernardo.
You seem like you have some questions there, Noah.
No, I just sound sick.
Yeah, it was sick. It was such a amazing experience because I met a lot of people, and in Colombia are so warm, and I felt really welcome, and I found like a family, even with people that came from all around the world. It was like...
Was it your first time in a South American country for a longer while? So give us the rundown. Compare Europe to South America, and then we will come with our input later. But I want to hear your take.
Okay, I think the life is like more easygoing, not because it's everything easy, just you don't have to rush and put so much effort and ruin like your mental health.
Yeah.
Just for doing something that you can do in other ways.
Yeah.
So it's you put the same effort but with less damage, I guess. and you feel like more allowed to take rest and take care of yourself, and meanwhile just improve your skills, your work, and work hard, of course. And yeah, I think it's just a different mindset.
Do you agree or disagree or have another point?
No, well, I mean, I actually haven't been to South America.
Ah, you haven't?
No, it's like
Okay.
the one spot on Earth I'm missing.
Well, I think you're missing like the most important spot on this planet. Probably Africa has a very similar position, but
I think Africa's got something special going on. But I was just like, for 8 months, like that's a long time.
Yeah.
Obviously you loved it, you came out, but there was like, I was just thinking like 8 months in any place, staying in one place.
I stayed like 5 months in the residency. In the meanwhile, I traveled a bit to Bogota, Medellin, Medellin. It's really close. And then I've been to the Amazon for 2 weeks, and then Buenaventura in the Pacific Coast.
okay.
And then I went to Venezia. It is a place that was close to the artist residency to like always volunteer stuff. And then I spent like 1 day in a small town called Aposentos, where I just host a workshop with children. And then I went back to the residency because it was the best choice, because I was running out of money. It was a long journey, and I was using my the money that I have saved for since I was like 16. So I just had to find a way to like continue my journey there
And make it back.
Yeah,
And make it back.
exactly.
I know that feeling.
Because my visa was expiring, so I had to
I have a funny story about visas in South America. Did you know that, like most countries in South America, they'll have 3 months on arrival, 90 days. And most places in the world, like I at least know, like Middle East, all of Asia, they're really strict on this. Like if you surpass those days, I mean, you can pay to extend, or some countries you can travel in and out to extend. But if you don't extend or do anything about it, you run into problems.
Yeah.
But South America, that's not the case.
Okay.
You can just literally stay as long as you want in some of those countries. So, for example, I've heard this from tons of people in Colombia, Venezuela, Ecuador, also Peru. I mean, we did it in Ecuador now this year. And I don't know about Brazil and Argentina and Chile. I can imagine those are a bit more strict. But at least like the countries with the less developed economy, you can just stay there. Like I've heard people have stayed for a year.
Yeah.
And then they come to the airport and they go like, whoa, you stayed like 9 months too much. Okay, we got to go and process this fine.
Yeah.
And they process it, and it can be like several thousand euros. And then they stamp it. And then they ask you, do you want to pay it now or later? And you're like, if you go like, no, I can pay it later. Then they go like, okay, remember, if it doesn't get paid, you cannot return into the country for 2 years.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's crazy.
If you wait 2 years, you can just get back into the country and the fine is gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
My mate Louis did something like that. He mentioned something like that he'd done. He got an email from them like a month after he left, but then they were like, "You owe us thousands of pounds because you overstayed by 2 months or something."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then nothing happens. Like they just haven't developed the system to follow up. So it will, after 2 years, it will just get erased from the system.
Yeah.
And then you're good.
Because I struggled with that. I had to just leave Buenaventura.
Yeah.
And I had like 16 hour of traveling to Ecuador to leave the country because I had to.
Yeah.
And in Ecuador, they didn't
So you were
accept
stressed
me.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just took the gamble. We just like, we'll believe the story of the internet. And I can confirm that works.
Okay.
I haven't heard anything from
Next
them.
time.
Next time. Well, let's go into a bit background from Noah. I mean, we're gonna jump back. I want to know more about what you did just before you came to Ålesund. But how about you, Noah? You've been quite a bit around. Originally from South Africa.
Yeah.
Parents moved to England. You grew up in the UK for a while, and then pretty much by accident got thrown into mountaineering.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, accidentally. Where to start with the mountaineering? So I'd known how to snowboard for like a little while, but then I had some friends in Austria, in Flachau. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
Doesn't ring a bell, but I guess Alps.
Yeah, and I went there on like a school ski trip, but I had friends there, and they took me out. They were older than me, and you know I'm like competitive, but they've been doing mountaineering for years, kind of around that area, and they'd always take me up stuff that was like right on the threshold of what I could do. And then by the time I got to their age, I was almost like better than their level.
But there was a person there, right, that really pulled you into the more extreme side of mountaineering. Let us know about that part.
So he's a guy called Kenton, and he actually summits Everest for a living. He's like a nutter. And yeah, it was kind of him and his family and his kids that got me going that kind of down that route. And then I finished school, and the first thing I wanted to do was go like climb mountains. I went to Australia for a bit, did various things, worked on an avocado plantation.
Some weird stories that we might not have to share here today, but that I've been lucky to hear.
Avocado plantation, then worked in a...
Let's put it this way, guys. If you're up for an adventure and you want to earn some cash, go down to Australia and work on farms.
Yes.
Big plantation.
It's Bundaberg, especially, would keep your wits about you.
And from there on, eventually you ended up...
in Japan. Japan doing a season. And I started off as an instructor, and while I was there, I did a bunch of like courses.
Mountaineering, like skiing.
Yeah, I'm a snowboarder by trade. Much prefer snowboarding to skiing, but it's obviously not kind of like going touring. You have to have a split board. There's no way you doing it in snowshoes. It'd take too long.
I agree. It's definitely not such a good business model.
No, for sure. But I just think snowboarding is an expression. Like expression of movement. I think it gives so much more than skiing does. Yeah, and that's my.
Do you skate or snowboard, Vanessa?
No.
All right. Well, continue your story. I just wanted to know if you're also into this world.
Yeah. And while I was there, did a bunch of like a couple avalanche courses and a couple mountaineering courses, and I then started having a crack at some of those Japanese mountains, which a bit like Norway aren't massive, aren't enormous, but they are incredibly dangerous because of the snowfall that Japan gets. It doesn't have to be a 45-degree slope for there to be an avalanche, because it's the snowiest place on earth. So,
and eventually from there, you also had your time in the Himalayas. I don't want to run through the story, but I mean,
no, for sure,
we can't. Unfortunately, we can't use ours. But you ended up in the Himalayas.
In the Himalayas, and yeah, so I went to go and putz around Everest Base Camp for a little bit, and I met a guide from America while I was there. Incidentally, I met this guy Kenton. He just climbed Everest for like the 16th, 17th time or something. Bumped into him at base camp. But I met this guy Zach, and he was a guide on Denali and all of those gnarly American mountains in the Tetons. And he was looking into summiting like a quite niche mountain called Kayajo-ri, which was first...
Kayajo-ri.
Kayajo-ri.
Sounds very beautiful.
Yeah, it's pretty hot. It's a really interesting mountain to climb, and like you said, we don't have hours, so I'll try and get to it.
We have lost it so many times talking about mountains, and just like, oh damn, we gotta go to bed.
Yeah.
Vanessa's probably sitting here like,
yeah.
No, it's so interesting.
But it's off the beaten track. It's not in the Khumbu Icefall, the Khumbu Valley, which is the valley that people climb from Lukla to go up to Everest. It's not in that one. It's in a valley over. So you go up through Khumbu, and you then cross over to this village called Mende. Has a massive monastery in it. And this mountain, Kayajo-ri, used to be banned to climb because it's got like, I think only 4 or 5 people have climbed it without dying. And I went with this guy, Zach, and the first had a crack at it, went from our little base camp down in the valley where there was no snow or anything, and then up onto the mountain in a bivvying in an ice cave. And then I got smacked by altitude sickness, and I had to turn around.
Eventually he climbed it though, and you had a crack at it.
He went on ahead, but it fogged out, so he couldn't climb it. So he turned around and kind of caught up with me on the way back down. and we ended up back at base camp together. And I was just like, I had seen Kayajori like in the entire time we were climbing all day. I hadn't been able to see it because it's like behind a bunch of like steps. But I saw it and I was like, oh my God, I have to get to the top of that. And then the next, in a couple of days, I went up again and summited it on my own.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
It's actually like, I mean,
I can relate in many ways, like being up there alone.
I had an itch.
It feels good to be back in civilization after that, to put it that way.
Definitely. Well, after that, I kind of went to Thailand with Gemma, who I hadn't seen for a couple of months at the time. And I found it really hard to decompress because you're literally making like life or death decisions. And you obviously have to be very careful and like super wired in to what you're doing. And I found myself like trying to cross the street without like analyzing a bunch of stuff, you know.
Well, let's sum up background from these two guys. It's really exciting to hear. I have Vanessa with me here, who kind of escaped her family sport world
dynasty,
and went into fine art, and Noah, our adventurous extreme sport guy and handyman
and incredibly attractive as well.
Beautiful. And you guys, I mean, Noah, you have been volunteering at the store during the course of summer. Vanessa, you're taking over the flagship now. We're in August 2024. Give us a bit the rundown also for Vanessa, like what is this store all about, and what have you discovered is the way to do it, and the things that you think that we should continue to explore, because there might be more opportunities there.
Yeah, I think if I had to describe what this store's about in one word, it's inclusion. Everybody is welcome. It doesn't matter who you are, if you live around the corner or if you want to come here for a nice day out, you're welcome to come here. You don't have to spend money, like to sit down and just enjoy the good vibes that we've got going on, because they are always good vibes. And it's a bit of a mission to get this place on the map, to be honest, because not everybody knows it exists. I was talking to a lady at the hotel across in debt. She's like, I grew up in Ålesund my whole life. I work at LD Vintage. I volunteer at LD Vintage. And she's like, what? You know, it's like just around the corner.
Yeah, I get you. No, there is definitely like some image building that has to be done, but that tells us a lot about the culture in Ålesund probably too.
Yeah, they don't really go out of the comfort zone. Creatures of comfort. Yeah.
I think that's a very Norwegian thing. Like, I mean, you've been here for 1 week or 2 weeks almost.
Yeah.
And you've met a couple of people. What do you think? Like, comparing it, I mean, spending time in South America and also comparing it to what you know from Italy.
I'd say that they're really shy.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't like get in touch with you easily. You have to just make the first step.
Yeah.
But after that, they're really nice, kind people, I guess.
Yeah. There is not really like a culture for going out and hanging out. I mean, anywhere you go other in the world, apart from probably the most northern hemisphere, there is like a very like going out culture. You'll like, if you have time in the afternoon, you'll head out and spend your time outside somewhere. So that's probably one of the key things we're working on here, you know, like opening that door for Norwegians, especially young people.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the most beautiful things, that there is a lot of internationalism going in this community, because obviously it brings that drive and that, you know it's possible. You know how it should work out. So even though you're kind of meeting like ice fronts, you're like, well, I'll loosen it up eventually.
You guys are like walnuts. It's like tough to crack.
So help Vanessa out here. What is like your take on it for the fall? I mean, we know the cruise ships are finally leaving.
Yeah.
It kind of opens up like a new door of community.
Yeah. Like my take on it as in like what to do, or... Yeah. I think getting this as a place, because Ålesund, I assume, like the rest of Norway, is flipping freezing in the winter. Getting this to be kind of like the place that they...
Yeah, Noah, bring us your take on how are you going to operate this store, and what do you have to do? Like, obviously, some of the listeners of this podcast will be future volunteers in this project. So it would be super helpful for them to understand what they're going to, what the challenge are all about, and how they can contribute.
I think keeping it super accessible, you know, obviously like being open. I think for you, something that I didn't struggle with, but I could see becoming a problem is like letting it become an extension of your living room, like being too comfortable almost. And that makes it sound like you're not, you shouldn't be comfortable here, but don't lose track of like what you're here to do, which is like work hard and be nice to people.
Yeah. Because obviously one thing is when people come into the store, but when it gets cold, raining, freezing, windy, nobody's out on the street anymore.
You gotta have kind of something going on, I guess. It doesn't have to be events. It doesn't have to be anything physical. You just gotta establish a culture of openness and, make these people your friends.
Yeah.
Not just to sell clothes or whatever, but because if you're not here making friends, what else are you doing?
I think that's such an important topic, like from owner's side and also the people behind this foundation. It's kind of like money has never been the drive.
Yeah.
I mean, it's important to create a sort of longevity and stability, because obviously if anyone involved is losing money, then at some point they'll pull out. But yeah, I think the community part, what do you think about that? I mean, like, it's almost like building brick on brick, like it's more important having one or two persons thrive in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, like, as you were saying that, I think a lot of people, like, especially Norwegians, assume that it is just a money thing.
Yeah.
Which there isn't a lot of in the rest of the world, like places that we've all been to. There's a lot of people who, a lot of places, that like you go into and it's just for relaxing. It's just to be there. It's, I'm not really saying it that well, but people come in here and they assume if they're not buying something, if they haven't bought a coffee, then they're not allowed to come and stay.
Yeah.
And
being very upfront on it. I think that's what Noah trying to say here.
Yeah, because I think in general in Europe it's like that. You have to buy something to enjoy the space.
For sure.
Yeah. Maybe just putting up a sign saying like sitting and talking is free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, we don't need.
that's what you have.
Yeah.
Maybe that it's like what we need to post on Instagram. Like once a week we'll be like, remember, sitting, talking and receiving some love is for free here.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
I don't know, like I was saying that to Noah like in the beginning of the summer. You gotta be so particular to Scandinavians about things, because just you being here and saying like, come in, enjoy, like feel free to just hang around, they will not automatically understand that as, oh, I can be here without paying. You actually have to say like, you can be here without paying.
Yeah.
And still they will feel like, after half an hour I should probably buy something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important, like social networking in this case. So maybe just trying to connect with people that are from here, like students of family, and just if they're passing by. Or
have you made up any thoughts, like any particular things you think like, this is something I want to put aside time to do?
I think there are living art scene here.
Yeah.
So maybe just trying to bring people like to join the space, be creative here.
I love that. Like I think you should build around you as a person. Pretty much that's what sounds to me like, like you like fine art. Yeah. So find those people in the city that also like it. Because those are naturally the people you will...
I already started, I found someone and they had like kind of project, like creative with like literature, arts, painting, and I'm trying to connect with them. And even it would be nice, I know there's some organization like Pride in Alesund, and for Ukrainian people, it would be nice like to host them, to have a talk here and just give them the space and nice, cozy and like open environment when they can feel.
I love that. Yeah. No, I see it. I love that.
Yeah, well done for saying everything I meant to say.
Pobrecito.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think you're really hitting the nail on the... Can you say that in English? Hitting the nail on the head? Because eventually I think it's way more about building that one relationship and having them feel like, oh, this is my space here. Like I'm welcome to be here.
And this is something that I learned in Colombia.
All right.
There are like gather in communities, and it's so nice to know that there is a space, a group of people that always be there for you.
Yeah.
You don't have to join always 100% all the time, but you know that they exist. It's amazing.
That is a really nice thought. And with that, I think let's move a bit into the practicalities of the store. I really want to give people listening into this a good impression. What are they going to? You know, what does the store look like? And also, what's kind of the future improvements that still have to be done, if any?
It's located in a really nice antique building would you say downtown Aspoja? Downtown Aspoja. Really nice tall ceilings, super like a really cozy vibe. I think we give off, like coffee machine, wood, pillows, everything.
Rustic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a bit rustic, bit kind of like I had a guy come in and say it's like a very comfortable terrarium in here.
A terrarium. That's very funny because the podcast room we had in the studio was called Terrarium. Yeah, and a lot of the plants from that podcast studio have moved over here.
Yeah, well, he said it's like a terrarium you could live in because we've got so many plants like kicking around, and then even through back where all of the clothes are, tons of plants, tons of art, old. I really like, because I'm quite into the older Victorian stuff.
Yeah.
Like all of the radios and the speakers and all that kind of shit. I'm well into that.
How about like the coffee shop area, Vanessa? How is that? If you gotta explain that to someone who's only listening in today.
I think it's a great chance to like have a drink and in the same time have a chat, and you can choose different kind of drink, and we trying to bring something that's interesting for the people that are coming in. So we're going to match the taste for people that are coming in. That's the idea, because this space is for people.
Yeah. So you got like, you coming in here kind of straight into the coffee shop. There is a tiled front desk from the coffee area, which is kind of the place where the people running the shop, they're behind if they gotta be behind somewhere, but it's also like the counter in many ways. And then like a sitting area, low, what do you call it when it's like a bit in like Asian inspired?
Like a Japanese coffee table, maybe. No one sat on the floor, but it's like a low down.
You could sit on the floor.
Yeah.
You could sit. Yeah, you could actually.
Would be
You could sit on the floor.
nice.
And then we have our own like separate room, like a game and TV room
Yeah.
that has plenty of couches. And then from there on, you kind of walk into the store area. So a 7 rooms.
Yeah. Obviously, you've got the kind of the men's section and surf section as well. Got like all those boards up in the back now.
Yeah. And then additionally to that, the store has a couple of storage rooms in the back and basement. So and also a workshop. Tell us about the workshop.
Yeah, well, when I got here, a lot of the back rooms were just filled with crap, to be honest. Random pieces of, I couldn't even tell you the names of some of these things that I found.
I do think, like, not pointing finger at anyone here, I think it's the result of prioritizing front space.
Yes, definitely.
But you did an amazing job. I think we should put like a picture of you in the workshop in the storage room. Be like,
I want one of me crossing my arms. Be like, we clean that up.
This guy made this into heaven.
No, I'm quite OCD about a lot of things. I like things to be a certain way. Like, I mean, the writing's not that neat, but I've used like a ruler to do all of it. And yeah, made a workshop in the back. I put a blade saw, like set that into a table. Made a table because it's quite a small room and it's really weirdly shaped. It's like a triangle, but a very slim triangle.
Very, very slim triangle.
Yeah.
And the chainsaw is so important.
Yeah.
To the store, because in the winter it gets freezing here.
Yeah.
And you'll experience that, Vanessa.
Yeah.
Like you'll spend
Can't wait for it.
You'll spend some hours cutting wood.
Yeah, well, it will be really interesting. I can't wait for it, because it will be a nice, different environment for what I experienced the past. So let's see how it goes.
Rad. Well, use the wheelie table as well.
Yeah.
I'm proud of the wheelie table. The wheelie table goes wherever you want it. I'm happy with that.
What do you think? Like, let's challenge Vanessa a bit for the coming months. What do you think? I mean, obviously, I think prioritizing non-physical development is the most important, community-based development. But anything physical, you still think this store needs at this point?
I think the store could do a lot more art. like to sell and to have on display. Like you can't really see behind us, but they've got obviously the stuff that Anne Sylvie has made, these like prints. And I've got some of my photography up all over the shop. And like we had this on the first day you came, I spoke to you, like you should do painting, put up some paintings of the shop or anything, or just whatever you want, like have that up and around.
Agree.
I love that kind of stuff.
Also, the game room, you know, the game room we have, the vision was never that it's gonna have those childish, weird-looking paintings. That was just like a rescue mission in the very end. Instead of having it white, we imagined it having like a massive psychedelic wall.
It would be nice, like,
so maybe you could
ask children to come in and paint on it.
Yeah, maybe you could run the foundation of the wall, you know, like that would be an amazing wall piece legacy to have in a random city in Norway.
For sure.
Oh, wow.
No, that wall definitely could need some creativity. Yeah, I agree. Art, painting, I think that's a future. You know, like we've been talking for quite a while about digital screens, you know, bringing in digital screens into this place to be able to sell, you know, art remotely. Yeah. So there is still things to pick on. What do you think? What's the kind of...
Yeah, it would be nice, digital idea, because even I have some stuff in Italy and I would like to sell it, because I never managed to. So it would be nice to reach even people that are from Alesund or from abroad and bring it here, because there are lots of young artists that are looking for like advertisement and like to get known by other people, because they're really worth it, I think.
Summing up this topic, what do you think, Noah, the time here has given you? Like, I mean, you're on a journey in your university degree where you're seeking a lot of different experiences.
I think it's given me confidence a little bit. Like working for you, or like you're the kind of person to just give free rein, and kind of seeing the decisions I make turn out well has given me a lot of confidence, but also patience. I think like Ålesund has been a mixed bag. It's been amazing and I've learned so much, but there's also been bits that I've really struggled and like I've had anger, you know.
Do you like the freedom of the project?
I love the freedom of the project. It makes sense. You can't just bring someone, or you shouldn't like want to work in a place like this if you're not going to want to be free and have kind of freedom of expression in what you want to do. Like it's amazing to see it from you, Vanessa. Like I have the way I like to do things, like neat, orderly, whatever, and then like the stuff that you've put up I didn't even think of, like mystery packets and like art straight away, and it's already like it's just effort is the key, you know what I mean, in all shapes and forms, whatever.
We talked a little bit about it like some days ago, you know, if you can build community here, you can do it anywhere. Is that maybe the big like threshold challenge for everyone involved in this project? If you can keep culture running on a high level here?
I think my dad always says, like whenever you would get a new job or be given a new task, what does success look like? And to me, establishing that kind of culture is what success is here. Yeah,
it would be really nice, because Alesund is quite empty of this kind of chances, opportunity to like create a community space, because it's full of tourists all the time and students. So people that are basically not living here, and it will be a challenge to like bring family, people that actually live here, even old people.
Yeah. We've been talking about that. Like, have you ever been to the Middle East?
No.
Like any Middle Eastern country, or even like Turkey or northern countries of Africa?
Qatar and Morocco.
Morocco, probably. Yeah, you know, like any kind of like Muslim-inspired culture, you'll have all these tea houses. Yeah. And I mean, it's very man's-dominated. But I think potentially Ålesund needs a tea house. You know, like that could be a way to go, because I know there is a lot of immigrant families here. Obviously, maybe not running it the way that's like a man's place, because that would crash with Norwegian and European values. But you know, like bringing in, embracing the multicultural community in Ålesund, say, you know what, if the Norwegian kids feel too posh or too classy about their thing, so they don't want to hang around in the hip space, that's cool with us. We'll open and embrace for like the multicultural side of it.
That would be an amazing, like kind of having kids from loads of different cultures come into the store, and it'd be like a melting pot, because it like, and kind of they give here and we give to them.
I'm just throwing balls, I don't know the answers, but maybe, having that day, like every Tuesday, even it doesn't work from the beginning, every Tuesday I will put on Facebook, as a running event, it's like multicultural day or something, and then I'll just embrace it, and everyone I know, I'll tell this story that, you know what, it's not running yet, but we have it every Tuesday. We want like everyone to come in, super multicultural. And I think it's all about continuity, telling culture or for a long while, that's what established the culture eventually.
Yeah.
So who knows? We'll see what the future brings. We'll bring back Vanessa in this podcast in a half year's time. Last question, guys. How would it be to have this store in another city? This store into, I don't know. Let's put it in Venezia, in Venice.
Okay, it will be crowded, because
From day one?
Venice is really small. So if you walk a bit around, you can find everything.
Yeah.
You can get lost, but you can find everything.
Or let's put it in London, like...
London would be mad. It would be on everybody's Instagram.
Yeah?
I genuinely think so. Especially like the way it's run. Where you put it in London like matters. There's the central part.
But you say the store looks actually that good.
It does look that good. It's really, it's the feeling. It's very eclectic. Like lots of stuff going on, but it has got the feeling of like a finished product. Almost, like you said, 95% of the way there.
Yeah.
It would be super popular.
We have one thing, or a couple of things that are very popular, but the book tower. The book tower is probably like the thing.
For sure. Yeah.
All the people that came here just amazed.
We should charge people.
Tom had that idea like long ago.
Yeah.
Never pulled it through though. But we should probably do something like on the hashtag like LDV Book Tower. Yeah. That would be so fun. Can't you do that? But every person comes and you see they're amazed by the book tower. You go like, should I help you take a picture of you and the book tower? And you post it with the hashtag LDV Book Tower.
Yeah, it would be nice.
Very good.
That's a little challenge for you, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. That would be culture. Yeah, no, cool. So you'd say it's a bit like the city here, the challenge.
Yeah, just the culture towards kind of going out or having a place to go and chill.
Yeah.
But
I think we'll still keep the store here.
Definitely.
Keep the store here and eventually we will succeed.
Yeah, of course, because it's a challenge and always exciting just to try.
Do you feel empowered for the coming months? Do you like?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, I will try my best, and I'm already started to try and reach people all around, artists, musicians, people that are just interested in like showing and sharing their art.
That's cool. No, I'm really excited because we've never had a person in this project that is like really passionate about fine art and displaying of art and the building of culture. So I think it's gonna change the store massively. Like any way it's gonna go, it's gonna develop. It's gonna be positive. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me in here today. It's been such a nice conversation, and I hope you guys have enjoyed listening. As always, my name is Georg. I'm your host for the Nomadic Business Insight. Today, we had an episode here from LD Vintage in Ålesund, and we'll be right back with a new episode very soon.
Thank you for listening to LD Podcast. We are continuously looking for the most talented innovators. No matter your background or expertise, shoot us an email at high5@ld.studio with your skills and portfolio.